Hello everybody, this is Arctic Mist here for my first analysis slash review video. I'm going to be doing a review slash analysis of Twilight Sparkle's character. The first thing is, Twilight Sparkle is extremely paranoid about everything. And throughout the episode you can see her start to kind of get a grasp of it, especially in the new season. You can see her. She's not as worried about controlling every little thing. She's more worried about the bigger picture instead of finer details. Especially, in season 4, how she took charge and didn't continue to worry about it. She had a level head, but she'd been entrusted with anything like that in season 1, she'd have flipped out. I mean, she was pretty freaked out about just having to find the elements of harmony. But yeah, so she's definitely paranoid. Her anger, that was interesting, because in the beginning we didn't really see her get too angry, except for like the first episode. She got kind of irritated, but pretty reasonably so. But in the other episodes you can see her, like when she has to go take the test in Canterlot, she's freaking out, and Spike tells her that it's just a test, and she explodes the house. And it's kind of interesting because she also got really mad in Feeling Pinky Keen when she couldn't understand what was going on with Pinky. That episode had a mixed message too. Pretty weird. Twilight's she's not all that really intelligent. Like, she's intelligent, but she's not wise. Well, except for in the newer season, she's getting a little bit more wisdom. You can see that progress over the series. But at first, Twilight is just... she's not the best. Like, she'll tell her friends, oh, you don't need to worry about that. And it will be like the main plot of the entire episode, and it's actually a big deal, but she doesn't understand some of the social stuff. Trying to think of a good example here. Can't remember the name of the episode, but other times, like, okay, so green is not your color. She kept wanting to tell her because she's not a people person. She's Twilight's more of an introvert in all actuality. But since the show, the premise is friendship is magic, she's learning how to deal with people. It's kind of like an introvert learning how to be an extrovert, almost. But Pinky is also the exact opposite. So that episode, their interactions, is kind of interesting, because Pinky knows you can't tell them, and Twilight didn't really realize that through the entire episode, and just kept wanting to tell them all this stuff. And it was pretty interesting. That was nice episode. Things like how she cracks. If there's too much stress, she'll either get extremely angry and violent, or she'll just go insane. I mean, we've seen that in Storm of the Century. That was, I think, the first instance of it. She just gotten to that point. By the end, she said, let's build an exact replica of Ponyville right next to Ponyville. That'll work. We can totally do that in enough time. And she was talking to Rainbow Dash to her to distract them. It was... she's lost it. And also in Lesson 0, she couldn't report to Celestia. And the stress of not being able to fulfill her duties as the best student ever drove her to causing a problem that she could fix. which hurt everyone, and Celestia had to yell at her even. Also, Twilight is too kind as well in certain situations. She'll like apologize, and she just doesn't understand how the world works. Like she bumped into Celestia and said, "I'm sorry," and uh, Celestia said, "There's no need to apologize," and then Twilight said, "Sorry," again. I think that was the biggest instance of that. Also, she doesn't want people to treat her differently because of her new title. And I find that pretty admirable, that she doesn't want people to treat her any differently. She wants her friends to still be her friends just the same as they were, even though she has this new responsibility, which actually she hasn't really done much yet. She's like signed a couple papers and helped set up the Summer Sun celebration. But other than that, she hasn't really done much. I'm thinking that them rebuilding the castle, which just seems to be a premise in season 4. Sorry about spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen that. But I think that she might become, like, that might be her castle, and that will be where she rules. Like, that part of Equestria could be where she rules. Kind of like how Cadence has the Crystal Empire in the far north now. Which is where I'm from, by the way. So, Twilight Sparkle. Bag of mixed up emotions. Also, she isn't afraid to cheat if it's for her friends. Or bend the rules, at least. Not necessarily cheating, but bending the rules. Because she kind of cheated by having all of her friends count as family to help Applejack make cider. So, it's kind of sneaky there. Also, Applejack was an idiot in that episode, sorry. I'll get to that later. In a different video. But, Twilight Sparkle. Also, what was the point of her becoming an alicorn? Like, if they just didn't have Cadence be an alicorn, I don't think they would have wanted to change Twilight into an alicorn, but adding Cadence into there kind of messed the whole rule of the two sisters up. Screwed up the whole thing. Because the idea was that they were the only two alicorns. They were the only ones who could do the job. But throwing Cadence into the mix means that couldn't she have done that job from the beginning? I mean, it's kind of explained later that her destiny was to become the ruler of the Crystal Empire, but still, it's a bit off. And what's Twilight's destiny then? If Cadence's destiny was to run the Crystal Empire and spread love and happiness throughout the land, and Celestia and Luna's job were to control the sun and moon, what's Twilight's job? Is her job is she going to replace one of the two sisters later? Or is she going to take over the stars and Luna's just going to do the moon? Because her cutie mark is kind of like stars. So, and her name is Twilight Sparkle. And Twilight is a night thing. And normally stars sparkle, I guess. You could say it's a bit of stretch, but you know. Maybe she's going to rule over the stars. That would be nice. It would be neat. Good thing to have. But also, how did the books just survive in the castle of the Royal Pony Sisters? After, 1,000 years of just sitting there, books are just fine. I don't get it. And with Twilight's house, if you notice, they'll say sometimes, sorry for barging in on your house, but she lives in a library. This kind of, you know, ridiculous. Her house is a library. Of course, you can come in and check out books. And also, if Twilight's house is a library and she's living there, is she the librarian of that library? Like, is Twilight been a librarian this whole time? What's with that? If there's anything going on there, anybody can explain that. That'd be nice. And her and Cadence's relationship, along with Shining Armor, it all seemed a bit rushed. And I just sunshine, sunshine, ladybugs awake, clap your hooves and do a little shake. Why? Is it completely necessary? I mean, it's funny now, but at the time, I was crying my eyes out. It seemed a bit ridiculous. That's all. I will be seeing you all in the next video, and I hope that you enjoy this.